Thank you all for being here so late. It is 9:08 as I look down at my phone, and we are so thrilled to be here to share the 2024 Outstanding International Books with you. International books for young people, which Robin alluded to also, are more important than ever as they reinforce our best impulses to look beyond ourselves and engage with different perspectives, to bridge cultural divides, and to affirm that the lives of all children, regardless of birth, nationality, and circumstance, are worthy of stories and storytelling. My name is Rachel Roseberry, and this year I was the assistant chair for our committee, and I was not supposed to be doing this. Our chair, Sarah Parrish, is sick with the flu and could not join, but this list could not have been possible without her, and I just want to say thank you to Sarah in her absence for her organization, dedication, and expert guidance in making this list possible. Yes, I'm standing in for her. I should also say I'm the Associate Director of Young Adult Programs and Services at the New York Public Library, so I'm in the librarian contingent of this group. Shout out to all the librarians. I'm happy to talk about NYPL stuff after. Give a shout out to my, okay, so beyond Sarah's absence, the three of us here in person represent a 9-person committee. Luckily, you will get to hear from everyone during this presentation as they have recorded videos to help you explore our list. The committee this year, as in all years, came from a variety of professional backgrounds, from professors of children's literature to academic and public librarians. And so without further ado, I know many of you got to explore it outside, but this is our list. It's so beautiful seeing them all in this sort of tapestry mode. And the full list, as Wendy mentioned, is posted on the United States Board on Books for Young People, the website, under News, and will be published in School Library Journal, we believe in the February issue. To get to this final list of 41 titles for children from pre-K through 12th grade, the committee read more than 480 books submitted from publishers and engaged in robust discussion about their merits. We may have even disagreed a few times or two. But this, I'm looking at Linda, she knows what I'm talking about. So this is our selection criteria that were used to guide our discussions and ultimately our final selections. The most important is the first one, I think, is to represent the best of children's literature from other countries. Significantly, not all books on the list have to meet every criteria. They just have to exemplify some of these to make it on our list. So introduce readers to outstanding authors and illustrators from other countries, help children in the US see the world from other points of view. You can see all of this. I'm going to go quickly so that we can actually get to talking about the books. And then also, Sarah put this map together representing, it's sort of a mix of locations where the books were originally published, as well as the primary setting for some of the books, written from sort of a diasporic perspective. And as I mentioned, to help you explore and understand our list of 41 titles, we have broken up the list into 9 different thematic areas. Each of us will speak about a particular thematic area and highlight 4 to 5 of the titles that are emblematic of that theme. In all instances, there were more titles than just the 4 or 5 we're going to speak about that fit that theme. Those themes really came through in really resonant and rich ways, but we're just pulling out ones so that we can cover all 41 on the list. All right, let's get to it. So I'm the first one. And I'm going to be talking about folklore then and now. Folklore is, of course, the traditional beliefs, customs, and stories of a community passed through generations by word of mouth. Thank you, Merriam-Webster. And our titles as a whole take those traditional beliefs, customs, and stories and turn them so that, I think of them so that the light catches them in a different way, enabling us to look at them differently and see resonances for the modern era. In 3 Tasks for a Dragon, written by Owen Colfer and illustrated by P.J. Lynch, published by Candlewick, Colfer tells a familiar story, a prince, a girl in distress, a menacing dragon, and a series of quests. But quickly you learn the story is not what you think. Our hero is more clever than brave. The girl commands a ferocious pack of wolfhounds, and by the end, the dragon and the prince are friends, having thrown off stereotypes to engage in thrilling adventure together. Susie Lee's The Shade Tree, published by Greystone Kids and translated from Korean by Helen Mixter, is another exceptional title by this highly acclaimed author and illustrator. Here she gorgeously retells a Korean folktale about a young man tricking a greedy rich man into giving him access to the shade of a tree, with far-reaching and unexpected consequences. Lee, the illustration here is, among all of the things, it stands out. She creatively illustrates the stories with these small black figures against bright landscapes, themselves set in sort of vignette style against stark white backgrounds. And while the shapes are modern and abstract, those vignette style illustrations still give it that fable-like quality that brings a folktale into the new generation. The Amazing and True Story of Toothmouth Perez, published by Enchanted Lion, hello Emily, is written by Ana Cristina Herreros and illustrated by Violeta Lupez and translated from Spanish by Sarah Lisa Paulson. This picture book is amusing and surprisingly poignant as it considers the implications of growing up through the lens of the Tooth Mouse folktale, the Spanish version of the Tooth Fairy. The illustrations are in bright primary colors and whimsically showcase our tooth mouse and his family. The author is a philologist and folklore expert and has brought this culturally specific folktale to a modern audience. The House of the Lost on the Cape, published by Yonder, Restless Books for Young Readers, is written by Sachiko Kashiwaba with illustrations by Yukiko Fontini and translated from Japanese by Avery Fisher. In this title, 3 generations of women create a family after a devastating earthquake. Young Hiyori is mute, and it is only with the help of traditional Japanese spirits that she finds her voice to save her home and her new family. The title movingly engages with concepts of grief and healing, found families, and the interconnectedness of humans and nature. Finally, perhaps my favorite title in the entire list, which I argued that I wanted to talk about, not that they all aren't absolutely fantastic, is Deirdre Sullivan's Savage Her Reply, published by Little Island in Ireland. This story is a retelling of the Irish fairy tale The Children of Lear. Traditionally, the villain in that story is Aoife, the stepmother who curses the children of Lear. In this title, though, she is the protagonist and first-person narrator, and finally given a voice. And what a voice it is. One of vengeance, regret, and very flawed humanity. This novel engages with deep emotions like guilt, loss, shame, love, and retells an Irish legend with power and meaning for the world today. So thank you. That's Folklore Then and Now. All right, so this is where we're going to start. We'll be interspersing video presentations. Tiffany couldn't be here. She will be talking about our theme, I Have the Right. Wish us luck with the video. We're so close. We actually tested this and it totally played before you were all in a room, I promise. Let's see if we can just give it a jump. Okay, while it's thinking, we're gonna go to one of yours so that we can keep talking. And Linda Pavinetti, turning it over to you.
Okay, I'm going to sit here. That's okay. I'm Linda Pavinetti, and this was my first year on the committee, and I was thrilled to be a member of it. I'm retired distinguished professor of children's literature from Oakland University outside of Detroit. And what does it mean to tell a story within a story? My mind immediately flies to Scheherazade in 1001 Tales. a storyteller weaving her story to an audience that is so mesmerized that they enter into the story with a cast of characters. Many of you know exactly what I'm saying because the story you are reading becomes your story. That is the job of a good storyteller, bringing an excellent tale to life and into your life. One of the themes of our 2024 Outstanding International Books list is Stories Within Stories. The list of books that fit within this thematic list is longer than the 5 that I will mention today, but each is a story within another story. Ancient Night, written by David Alvarez with David Bowles, published by Levine Querido. An epigraph at the beginning of this book explains it all. Quote, "It dawns, and as the sun takes its place in the sky and clears the shadows of our memory, we remember the stories our grandparents told us." Unquote. In this tale, the contemporary authors weave together bits and pieces of Mesoamerican creation stories featuring rabbit and a possum, the moon, and the sun. The book concludes by naming traditional stories that were important to the book's inception. A Pocket Full of Stars, written by Aisha Bushby, published by Carol Rhoda Books. In this magical realism middle grade novel, Sophia, an 8th grader who lives in a London suburb, suddenly enters an alternate reality brought on by her comatose mother's perfume. What she experiences is her mother's adolescence in Kuwait, the story of her mother's past as Sophia lives her own life in England. Sophia moves almost effortlessly between her own story and her mother's until she understands how the two tales are really one. Hopeless in Hope, written by Wanda John Kukawan, published by Highwater Press and distributed by Orca Books. Hope, a small town in Manitoba, Canada, is a place of haves and have-nots, according to 14-year-old Nevaeh, heaven spelled backwards. She writes poetry and wishes her mother, Shirley, were like other mothers who bake cookies and aren't home when school dismisses, instead of being an alcoholic who is never there for her children. Nokum, which is Cree for grandmother, gives Nevaeh Shirley's diary from when she was a young teen, hoping it will explain some of Shirley's anger. When Nevaeh finally reads her mother's writing, she understands how one generation's story can influence the story of their children. Stateless, written by Elizabeth Wing, published by Little Brown and Company. 1937 Europe is like a powder keg because of the Spanish Civil War and the Nazi struggle to control all of Germany. This is the setting for the Olympics of the Air, the first air race among 12 young European pilots. Although the narration of the British pilot, through the narration of the British pilot Stella North, the stories of the other pilots and chaperones from Russia, Germany, Spain, France, Italy, and 6 other nations gradually unfold. Many of the pilots, mainly teenagers, are hiding secrets they don't want to divulge. Okinawa, written and illustrated by Susumu Higa, translation by Jocelyn Allen, published by Fantagraphics Books. Okinawa is a Japanese manga. It is a generational narrative from multiple viewpoints: the Japanese soldiers, the American invaders, and the Okinawans. It is influenced by the narrator's heritage and culture. The Japanese are fighting to conserve their national honor. The Americans are battling to avenge their defeat at Pearl Harbor. The Okinawans are attempting to safeguard their island heritage. These multiple stories within a story are not only for manga fans, but also for anyone interested in a more inclusive portrayal of one World War II battle. The 5 books I have highlighted here are just a few of our 2024 Outstanding International Books list that can be featured in your library or classroom under the themes of stories within stories.
Thank you. Just being attacked by the technology, all of us are. Let's see if Danilo's video will play. He will be speaking, cross our fingers, about literacy journeys. I'm wondering if we might try another hotspot. I'm thinking maybe the internet is not strong enough, so I'm gonna do all of our in-person stuff and then go back and try to play you some of these videos. This is another one that will be a video. Sandeep is talking about grief and the unknown. You'll see yellow butterfly in this list, and it's obviously out there for you to look at as well. Gussie will be speaking about running towards freedom. Again, I'm going to come back and try to play these, but just get the internet in a better state. And over to you, Linda.
Well, hello. I actually would have stood until until the mic attacked. Anyway, attacked Rachel. So I am talking about books in the theme of whimsy and imagination, and because I love definitions, whimsy, thank you, Merriam-Webster, is playful or fanciful humor, often with a dreamlike quality. And then imagination is dealing creatively and resourcefully with the unexpected and the ability to represent possibilities. So we definitely use the word whimsy in our discussions of Who Will Make the Snow, written by Taras and Marjana Prohaska and translated from Ukrainian by Boris Drolyuk and Jennifer Croft. So the twin moles, Purr and Craw, are born on the first day of spring, and as the newest members of their woodland world, they are curious about everything. The little moles meander in and out of their experiences with a childlike way. Marjana Prohaska's textured, atmospheric illustrations convey a gentle sense of magic, community, and family. The extended text in this novella is replete with rich sensory details. The Prohaskas are acclaimed artists in Ukraine, and Who Will Make the Snow was named the BBC Ukrainian Children's Book of the Year in 2013. American readers are lucky to now have access to this original, whimsical, award-winning book. Originally published in Switzerland, Ludwig and the Rhinoceros, a philosophical bedtime story, was written by Naomi Schneider, illustrated by Golden Cosmos, and translated from German by Marshall Yarborough. The playful illustrations in this picture book feature only 3 special luminous colors mixed to become 7. And the vibrant illustrations were created by combining analog drawings, digital drawings, and printed graphics. With love and deference toward his son, Ludwig's father skeptically searches for the rhinoceros that Ludwig insists is in the bedroom. The father, however, cannot see this rhinoceros, leading to a philosophical argument about knowing and believing without seeing. At the end of this search for a real or for an imaginary rhinoceros, Ludwig declares, "I'm going to be a philosopher." So this whimsical search introduces readers to Ludwig Wittgenstein's existential philosophy, and back matter includes information on this renowned philosopher. Written and illustrated by Zo Oh, translated from Korean by Ellen Jang, Corner employs minimal words, whimsical, softly hued color pencil illustrations, and an elongated shape to show readers how Crow imaginatively and creatively turns his simple corner into a welcoming home. In a feat of design and engineering, the illustrations make maximum use of the spine, reinforcing the idea of the limitations and the possibilities of a corner. Young readers will appreciate Bird's effort and imagination in creating a space that is uniquely his own. And they may also be fascinated as they watch Bird take the leap to explore beyond his now cozy corner. The Art and Life of Hilma af Klint was written by Elva Hellström, illustrated by Karen Eklund, and translated from Swedish by DJ Epstein. At a moment when people were fascinated by spiritualism and the unseen modern advances in communication, they were not fascinated by unseen women painters. Thus, Hilma af Klint's work, filled with magic and mystery, was lost for 100 years. But the rediscovery of her work changed art history. It can be argued that she was the inventor of abstraction with her non-representational maps of the spirit world, rather than Kandinsky and Malevich, to whom the style is commonly attributed. This picture book features 15 reproductions of her works and an interpretive chart of the symbols and colors in her art. The text and art should prove engaging and accessible to young readers in the U.S., particularly budding artists and feminists. And finally, Elise Fontainet's At the Drop of a Hat is a masterpiece of imagination and whimsy, illustrated by Aletta Lopez and translated from French by Karen Snelson and Emile Robert Wong. The 6-year-old child narrator of this picture book loves nothing more than spending time with his larger-than-life immigrant grandfather, Louis, especially in his marvelous garden, where Louis' playful vocabulary is as vibrant and full of life as their surroundings. Young readers familiar with expressions such as "at the drop of a hat" and "you're the apple of my eye" may feel compelled to correct grandfather's mix-ups. Readers who enjoyed Gianni Rodari's Telling Stories Wrong, featured in the 2023 OIB list, may find this to be a delightful and whimsical companion book.